start so that we would keep to our timing as stated. So today's session will be having programs from a first we'll have a brief about Farmalert, and then a brief from MDoc, our pre-quiz, didactic presentation, our didactic presentation, and open discussion for all, expert recommendation, post quiz, and then our announcements and next steps. So, but before we continue that, this is tele-education series project TECLA, and we have partners who are making this program a success with us, and such partners includes MDoc, the BI, Ashoka, and Making More Health, and we are really happy to be working with them to make sure our baby steps turns to very giant strides. So thank you to all our partners. So for Farmalert TECLA programs, we have 4 ECHO pillars. So on that, we use video conferencing, specialist sharing best practice with colleagues, case-based learning, and continuous monitoring of program outcomes. Also, take note that Project TECLA Africa leverages on Project TECLA Africa leverages on ECHO model, on the ECHO model, and also we collect the registration, the participation, questions and answers, chat comments, and poll responses for our programs. But take note that your individual data is confidential and handled by authorized personnel only. The session will be recorded, but we'll be sharing a PDF version of the slides after the session. Thank you once more for joining us. And for the participant tips, please take note that your cameras should be on so that we'll have a better interactive session. And also the facilitator will unmute you when you need to speak. You can use the raise hand feature in the Zoom when you want to speak, and kindly use the chat function too for any questions, and we'll have someone in the chat function extract the questions. Thank you. So with that, we would invite the CEO of Farmalert, Dr. Kayode Femi, to give us a brief about Farmalert for 2 minutes.
All right, so thank you.
Femi.
Thank you so much, Nancy, and then for the warm introduction. So in Farmalert, we are very happy organizing meetings as such. We think it's our duty in Farmalert to ensure that the people will serve, pet owners, farmers, etc., have the best of information available at their disposal to use. We're beginning to see one health medicine, one word medicine become something that is common in our lexicon. And it's our own duty to ensure that the animal health component of the one word that we have been all talking about fits perfectly. We need our animals to be healthy. We also need the people who own this animal to also have the right kind of information. Today is going to be a flexible debate around who a good or bad pet owner should be. Our resource persons are slightly very vocal, and I'm sure that we're going to be having some interesting time today. So, Dr. Nancy, it's good to be here, and then also to see that Farmalert is supporting an initiative like this to ensure that people have access to quality information and quality access to affordable animal health care. So, on behalf of, I don't know if MDoc is here, but I'll quickly talk on MDoc. Just a moment. All right, so MDoc is one of our partners involved with is Adora here. All right, so since Adora is not here, so MDoc is one of our very stable partner in the Project TECLA. Project TECLA is tele-education for clinicians and then leaders in Africa. And the goal of TECLA is to democratize the knowledge that is available in the healthcare sector. And proud to say that Farmalert is leading the first animal health initiative for Project ECHO. I think it's going to be an interesting time, and then I have to hand over to Dr. Nancy now to continue and introduce our speaker, our hub experts, so that we can take the conversation further. Thank you, Dr. Nancy. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Karadefemi. So for today, we have two hub experts, very young ones at that are very vibrant and also have shown that the young ones are really doing well. So for today, we have Dr. Yeni Joseph, the CEO of InstaVet Care, a veterinary surgeon extraordinaire and a passionate animal lover. And we also have Dr. Ogene Caro, of the CEO of Pet Plus Veterinary Services, a veterinarian, entrepreneur, and a social media enthusiast. So before we continue, we would have our pre-quiz, after which we would invite Dr. Carol to give us her didactic. Please, can we have the pre-quiz poll up?
So, Dr. Nancy, I think we should just move on with the presentation. So, Dr. Nancy, I think we should just move on with the presentation, please.
So we'll have our pre-quiz now. Can we have the pre-quiz poll on? Okay, so if we don't have the pre-quiz poll ready, please, can we have the didactic? Dr. Ogene Caro, we are really happy to have you today. So we are going to have to listen to you for 15 minutes. And after that, we'll continue with the pre-quiz before we continue. Dr. Ogene Caro, are you with us?
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Femi, Dr. Nancy, every participant present. My name is Ogene Caro, Ogene, and I am a pet owner, pet lover, veterinarian, and I'm happy to be having this session. So responsible pet ownership, what do you need to know? Are you a good pet owner? Are you a bad pet owner? Are you an uninformed pet owner? Because there's also that category that we did not capture. So, so pet ownership covers a whole lot of areas, from the time where you decide to get a pet, to providing the enabling environment for the pets, providing clean water, food, a warm place to sleep, adequate medical care. So we have basics that these are things that I think every pet needs: behavioral training, good diet, the medical care where you have the health, you have a good environment, and then companionship. So a lot of people think that when you're getting pets, the idea of getting a pet for companionship is for themselves alone. The animal also needs companionship. So it's not just a one-way street. When you're talking about getting pets for companionship, your pets should also have that sense of a companion. So you don't just have a pet for the selfish purpose of, oh, I need something around. And then when you're busy or when you feel like you have something that is more important, you just discard the pet to one side and I beg, let it stay on one side. So I feel that companionship is also important for the animal as well as yourself. Next slide, please. Okay, so am I a good pet owner or am I uninformed? So a lot of times when people call and say, I want to get a pet, or I want to buy a dog, I want to buy a cat, I usually would ask, why do you want to get a pet? Or what kind of pets do you think that you need to get? What reason are you getting the pet for? Is it for companionship? Is it for security? Or are there other reasons why you think you need to get a pet? What is the right pet for you? Do you need to get a dog? Do you need to get a cat? Do you need to get a fish? Do you need to get a parrot, a bunny? What kind of pet actually does your work routine permit that you should get? Are you a busy person? Do you travel all the time? You probably should not be getting a boabo, for example. So there are different kinds of animals that require different levels of attention. So when you're deciding to get a pet, you also have to factor in that your work routine, if you have the right space, do you have a big yard where the dog can play? If you're getting a large breed dog, for instance, you have space where your dog can play, can run around. Does your where you stay, if you stay in an estate, for instance, does your estate allow pets? Are you going to be a nuisance because your dog is going to be barking and disturbing the entire neighborhood? Does your family love pets? If you're married, does your wife love pets? Because a lot of times a man can buy a dog, for instance, and feel like, oh, I've sure bought a dog for the house. And the wife does not care that you bought a dog because as far as she's concerned, she did not send you to buy a dog. So you travel and then the dog is not being taken care of. Maybe in the morning, they'll just look for any leftover food and then go and give Bingo this thing. And the dog is suffering, you are away, in your mind, you have bought a security personnel for the house. Your dog is not eating, your dog is not drinking enough water, nobody cares that the dog has ticks, nobody cares that even the dog's food has finished, or even when the food finishes, for those of you who leave your dogs with security men, your security man can decide to even use the food that you give him to buy dog food, to buy food for himself. So you have to be aware that these are things that you should think about when you are getting a dog or a cat or any kind of pet for that matter. Next slide, please. Okay, what do you need to do before you bring a pet home? The first thing I will tell anybody is that you need a vet. You need, and not just somebody who says they are a vet, you actually need a qualified, a registered vet. Somebody who is actually a vet in training, not somebody who says they're a qualified vet. Shop for all the supplies that you need before you bring that animal home. So it's just similar to having a child, for instance, even though some people may think that it's a bit extreme, but that's what I liken it to. If you're preparing to have a child, you don't wait until the day the child is born before you start going to buy diapers, before you start buying baby clothes or food or the nappy, everything that the baby would need. Those things should have been gotten prior to your actually having that child. So it's the same thing when you're getting a pet. You should know that you're going to need a standby vet, somebody that you can always call when you have, because you will always have questions. I get the weirdest questions from pet owners. Somebody can call and say, oh, my dog is not barking, or the dog is always crying, or the dog is not eating well, or like my friend's dog. For those of you who get dogs because your friends got a dog. So have a standby vet, shop for supplies, and make sure that your house is pet proof. What do I mean by being pet proof? It's that your house is conducive for a pet to stay. You don't have wires lying around. You don't have sharp objects all about that the animal can easily go and play with and harm themselves, because animals are very inquisitive. And a dog can see something lying and say, this looks good to chew, and everything goes into the mouth. And then you're calling and saying, my dog has swallowed a Coke bottle, or my dog has eaten, it was biting wire and then something shocked the dog. So make sure that your house is pet proof and it is safe for a pet to stay in. Next slide. Okay, still on good or bad pet ownership. Prevention, I think, is the best medical care possible. So when you're getting the dog, the first thing you should do, talk to your vet about everything that should be done before the pet comes home. Vaccination should be in place, deworming your dog. You should even check the dog actually for any signs of ill health. Make sure that the dog is not sick. Check the eyes. Even this, it may not be easy for you, but there are things that you will see visibly that will tell you that this animal is not healthy. If there are marks in the mouth, the gums are bleeding, there are insects on the body, ectoparasites, if there are lumps on the skin, these are visible signs that this animal is not well. Then you need to either speak to the person who handed this pet over to you or consult your vet. Then keep medical supplies out of reach. Like I said, animals are very inquisitive. I've had somebody who bought a can of multivitamin for his dog, and then these 2 dogs finished the whole can in a day because he kept it just by the entrance of their cage. And they were playing, they played to that place, opened the can and ate everything up. The same thing can happen to even human medical supplies. So make sure that you don't keep drugs or anything harmful around where the animals are going to stay. Keep dangerous objects away, sharp objects, stones, nails, anything that you feel that if a child sees this thing, they can actually play with it to harm them. Keep it away from them, because animals are not as smart as we think they are when they are still very young. As they grow older, then they will know, okay, if I've played with this item before and it harmed me, I will not go there next time. So just those are things that you also need to consider. Keep your garbage or your trash can closed or properly sealed, because an animal will always play to where they find some kind of smell. They are drawn to smell. So if your garbage can is always open, your dog, your cat will go there to go and pick things to eat. And these are not healthy for them. Next slide. Yeah, so then health check. So these are some of the things that you need to do. Vaccination, making sure that the pet is dewormed, then spaying or neutering them if you don't want the animals to procreate. That's for those of you who are not getting animals for the purpose of breeding them. For cats, for example, cats breed a lot. Somebody can bring a cat, yeah, my cat gave birth. In the next 2-3 months, they are back again. My cat is pregnant again, no, I don't know what to do. So if you don't want your animals giving birth all over the place, please consider spaying them. It's a very viable option, and you can get this done by any qualified veterinarian or veterinary facility. Next slide. Okay, socialization. This is one part that actually most people ignore because they think it is not important, or they think that saying, oh, bingo come, bingo go is enough. So even for breeders, this is a part where breeders also come in. If somebody is coming to your kennel, for instance, to pick up a puppy, they would not pick a puppy that is timid. They would actually look for the most people will pick the most agile of the litter. They will not pick the one that is looking like it's very timid, or the one that is overly aggressive, which although some people prefer those, but make sure that your animals are well socialized. Even among like litter mates, try to ensure that there is no bullying. Try to ensure that the puppies are not picking up certain traits from the older ones in the pack. Then for when you have taken these puppies home, try to do what is called the basic obedience training. You can get qualified trainers to do this for you, and make sure that your dog is properly, your cat. Although cats are a bit difficult to train, but it's also doable. You can also train cats as well. So I would say that a dog's personality reflects the personality of its owner. Most times, if your dog is always violent towards people, if your dog snaps at people for no reason, somebody is knocking on the gate and the dog wants to just attack and kill somebody, it's an indication that you're not doing something right. Or that probably that's even the way you have trained this dog to be. You want to train it to be a killer. Because I've heard a lot of people who say, I'm looking for killer dog. I'm looking for a dog that will do this, that will do this. You also forget that these things can turn back on you, the owner of the dog, at the end of the day. So make sure that your pet is properly trained, exercise them. If you have a large breed dog, for instance, or even any kind of dog for that matter, and cats, make sure that you have they have like mental and physical stimulation such that they are not bored. As much as humans get bored and depressed, an animal can also get bored. If a dog is always inside the cage from morning till evening, you only release this pet maybe once in a week or 2 times in a week when you are afraid that something is happening. That's the only time your pet sees sunlight. Some of you will even assign it to the furthest part of your compound and just leave it there. The only time it sees people is when it wants to eat, or maybe when you want to bring it out as security. Animals should not be treated as such. It is important that they have a communication with humans. It's important that they have mobility not even every other day. You should take the dog on walk, even if it is short walks, 10-15 minutes in the morning is fine. And while you're walking them, please ensure that they have adequate hydration, give them water, and then provide toys, provide games. If you don't have the time for games, just provide toys. Something as simple as a squeaky toy or a toy that makes sound is enough. Or you can even get another pet. If you have the space for it, get another pet so that they have some kind of communication. You don't just isolate an animal and just leave it because it is just a dog. So these are things that we should consider. Walking, it helps reduce stress, reduce anxiety, and a pet that is not stressed will be less prone to destructive habits. So I had a friend once who said her dog got into their highest bus. Their dogs, 2 dogs actually, got into a bus and ate all the seats in the bus over there. They left the windows open. These dogs jumped into the car, ate the entire the leather seats in the car. Because these dogs are not, they don't have anything else to do. They are bored. They are looking for something to play with. And most of the time, for them, it is play. When you wake up in the morning and you see this thing, out of frustration, out of anger, you now start to beat this dog, forgetting that you have not played your own part. You have not made sure that this animal is actually having something to while away time. While you're going to work, while you're taking your children to school, you've forgotten that you left an animal at home for the whole day. And then you come back, you just drop food and you go back to your activities. So please ensure that your pets are properly taken care of. Then, okay, the next slide. Okay, good food and clean water. This is one aspect that is very important. Please make sure that your dogs have proper food that is suitable for their age and their size. Don't give them spoiled food all the time. Don't give them leftovers. Don't go to any party and just jumble up things together and come and give it to Bingo in the house. Please give them proper food. Make sure their food and water bowls are always clean. Every day when you go, check it. There are sometimes when you will leave food for a long time and you start to see mold growing on the plate. Please make sure that their food and water bowls are always washed and they're properly cleaned. Next slide. Okay, and then housing. So the kind of house or the kind of space, living environment that you get for your dog should be dependent on the size of the dog, the breed of the dog. You don't want to put a cane corso, for example, in a small cage that will not even allow the dog to move. Sometimes some people just create some kind of things that look like prison wards and then just put a dog inside it because she have bought cage. When you're buying a cage, when you're buying a kennel or whatever you're buying, ensure that it is suitable for that dog to actually move. It should be able to move about inside the kennel. So the dog should be able to move conveniently. It can sleep, it can stand, it can turn around inside the kennel if you're getting a kennel for it. If you're getting beddings, the beddings should be soft. They should be not too harsh on the body. If you have a dog that doesn't have a lot of fur, you also have to consider that too. Then pets should not be kept in permanent confinement rather. So don't cage them all the time. Ensure that they have some amount of movement, mobility every day. Let them come out of the cage, let them move around. And then for senior dogs, these are older dogs, and puppies should always have soft beddings in their kennels if they're kept in kennels. I think that should be about it. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you can just leave them in the chat box.
Thank you, Dr. Genekaro. That was a beautiful didactic presentation. I believe all of us actually picked one or two things from there as pet owners and pet lovers too. So the poll quiz will be, that is a pre-quiz will be on now and on your screens. Please do join in and let's see what we have so that we can also do our post quiz after.
All right.
So we have 3 minutes for this and the time has started counting.
Dr. Nancy,
Please.
Dr. Nancy, why don't you allow Dr. Ayeni to finish and then we can take the post quiz after everything, if you don't mind.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So with that, we would have Dr. Joseph Ayeni talk to us. Then I would hand over to Dr. Kayode Femi to continue with the question and answer session.
Yeah, good
Dr.
afternoon,
Ayeni.
everyone. Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And that was a beautiful presentation by Dr. Ogenekaro. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it well. So it's a beautiful presentation, and basically it covered everything that that we need to know as being a responsible pet owner. And I like the example that she gave in regards to some of the points that she's trying to make during the presentation. So it's a beautiful one. And I want to thank everyone present here today to contribute to this presentation. And yeah, I think my purpose here is to answer questions and equally contribute one or two things to the presentation made. And being a veterinarian, I know being a responsible pet ownership comes with so much responsibility, from carrying out research to about the breed of dog that you have to keep, to the common diseases associated with the dog, to the purpose of you getting the dog, to the health care, to how you can train the dog, socialization, and making the dog to behave well to other dogs and to the people around it. So it's important to take note of all these things, and we've seen different cases in which some people end up getting dog and they are not being a responsible owner as themselves. So the presentation has covered the basic things to look out for to be a responsible pet owner. And yeah, I don't know if there's any question that will be thrown at me in regards to that, then I'm ready to answer it. Hello?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ayeni Joseph. So we are going to call Dr. Kayode Femi to handle the question and answer series and discussions, and then we'll get back to the hub experts to give us a conclusion. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nancy, for a good job so far. And we'll have a few questions here and there. I know, fortunately for us, we have some really very good, our elders also that are veterinarians. For people who are not veterinarians in their house, one of the foremost vet people in Lagos. You know, Lagos, that's where everything happens, right? I know Dr. Ogenekaro will accuse me of that because she's in Ibadan, But Lagos, that's where everything happens.
Ibadan is where everything happens.
Dr. Kunle Abiade of Pet Care is on this call. I'm happy to see him. Dr. Tunji Nasser is also on this call. I'm happy to see him. Dr. Charles Ibe is also on this call, as always. Thank you so much. Dr. Mondi Ojemeri, well, Abuja is the next place that things are happening, but again, that's on a lighter note. Thank you so much. The Director of Veterinary Services, Lagos State, is also here. So I think we are going to be having like a very robust conversation. But to you, Dr. Ogene Karo, thank you for the presentation. It was a responsible presentation. But let me bring this up. The first time I saw my team members brought up the topic, and I told them, oh no, don't use the word responsible in adverts. People don't like to be responsible. You know, so I do marketing. And I know some topics scare some people, right? Responsibility is a word that scares people. So if you choose a much more lighter topic, you might probably have a lot of people attend meetings like these. So I want to ask a direct question to you, Dr. Ogenekaru. On the scale of 1 to 10, from all your clients, people who come with pets to your own outlets, on the scale of 1 to 10, how many of them is responsible? Don't scare me.
I would say 6. A lot of people do not. Well, sometimes I really like the topic. Most people feel that I am harsh sometimes when I talk about things like this. So generally, I do not attract irresponsible pet owners. On a general note, I don't. People who actually behave in ways that seems like they do not care about the animal. They don't care. They don't come to me. Because I will tell you how it is. I will tell you, you cannot do this. You cannot do this. This is not how to treat a dog. This is not how to. There are times when a client of mine once walked in and was, while he was trying to maybe correct the dog, he just used it was these slippers or so and stoned, like used to. I'm like, why? What did this animal do to you now? That you have removed, you have pulled your butter, you are throwing it at the dog. Why? For what reason? So there are a lot of times people like that don't even come to me at all.
Let me quickly cut in there. Nobody has brought a pet and left it for 1 week and forgot. I saw a case, right? The man brought a pet in the morning and forgot.
Yes, that happens. So sometimes when customers
have you seen a case like that? The person
no, I've not seen a case where somebody will forget. I will not even allow you forget. That's the thing. I won't allow you forget because you are the primary caregiver of this animal. So when somebody says, oh, my dog stopped eating this morning, and I know that this dog has probably stopped eating a week ago, because the kind of lies people tell vets, you will wonder whether they think we are native doctors. So somebody will say, doctor, my dog has not been here. It has just this today, it has lost so much weight. And you see this animal is looking very skinny. You can actually feel the bone, the ribs on the body. So it is obvious that this animal stopped eating maybe a week ago, 5 days ago, 6 days ago. But they tell you it is just this. And I will tell you, you are not telling me the truth. Because it is very obvious that this is not something of this morning. Even for a human being, you cannot just overnight, all your body mass will just disappear. Unless somebody is after you, which is not entirely, it's not part of medical conversation. So it is difficult for people like that to come my way. Although it happens once in a while, where somebody say, my dog, or there are so many ticks on the body, or what can I do? And you see this dog, you cannot even differentiate between 4 and 6. Whoa. Because the ticks have covered the entire body. But you have been looking at this dog. You were seeing it when the tick was 1, when it was 2, when it was 3, until the dog does not even have space to scratch the body anymore. The whole body is covered in ticks. That's when you now realize that, oh, there's one woman, there's one witch doctor at the Lely that can actually help me, take care of this thing. You now remember me when it's almost a crisis, when it's almost as if nothing can be done. That's usually what a lot of pet owners do. They wait until it's a crisis before calling the vet to come and perform magic.
All right, Doc, let me quickly take a poll, right? Every one of us can type. We're discussing responsible pet ownership. I want us to quickly just take a poll. On the scale of 1 to 10, what do you think about the responsibility of pet owners? So just quickly type on the scale of 1 to 10, generally, it's a general question. Dr. Ogenekaru has said 6. That was very impressive. And then, of course, she has given us the reason why. Do you think on the scale of 1 to 10, the pet owner that we have in Nigeria are responsible? So quickly, I'll be checking the chat to see our responses. But while we do that, I think we should go to a much more detailed. So we have an entire 40 minutes to have this conversation. And Dr. Ayeni, I want to ask you, first of all, the funny question: has anyone brought a pet and forgot that you forgot? You can imagine, just imagine dropping your child in the hospital and you forgot. But
Yeah,
people always think that maybe we should not compare having a pet and having a child. But again, I'm coming to that very shortly. But has someone ever forgotten his pet in your establishment?
yes, and this type of cases happen mostly when it's related to the grooming section. Because when it has to do with treatment, it's either you wait and go back home with your dog, because it doesn't take much time, except if it's a serious case like parvo, then that you have to wait for several minutes. But if it's treatment-based, clients normally wait to take their pet along with them back home. But in cases of grooming, because grooming takes time, sometimes 2 to 3 hours just to groom a small, medium breed, like small breed like Lhasa Apso. So some clients decide, there was a day that a client left a dog and didn't come to pick up till the following day. We kept on calling her and she didn't respond or pick up her call till the following day. So we have to charge her for the overnight boarding. So sometimes we have cases like that, but not in related to treatment aspect or the grooming aspect. But overall, it still has to do with the health of the animal. So I will equally take that as not being responsible by the owner.
All right, so I think it's generally the case. I get some responses, and then Dr. Motayo said for pet owners 2 all over 10. 2 all over 10. That's really a very poor mark. I saw 5. I saw 50-50. I saw 5 all over 10. I saw 4, please. And then the person now said most pet owners are very irresponsible. Very irresponsible. So that would take me to my next. I'm going to open the room for a lot of conversations because we have quite a handful of experts in the house. But to you, Dr. Ogenekaru, now I go. There was a case I attended when I was still very active. Now something else has taken over. I attended to a highly placed government official's pet. And unfortunately, we lost the pet. You know, if I call the government official's name, most people will understand, right? But the government person sobbed, like she kept on crying. I called her later in the evening, she was still crying. The next day I went to her place, she didn't go to work, right? And it took her almost 1 week to recover from the shock of the loss. And then on the other extreme, you find someone, right? So sometimes I wonder whether they bought the pet with their money or it was maybe forced on them, right? They don't care. What do you think is the difference between attitudes of pet owners? Why? Why will somebody sob for 1 week and not go to work? And the other person, on the other hand, will not care. Is it from the pet or is from the owner? Because we need to, if it's from the pet, then maybe we can be switching those pets. Why are some attached and others aren't? I want you to please throw a suggestion on that.
I think it is just basic human behavior. People are different. For example, when I lost my dog in December, nobody could console me. My parents were calling, my siblings called, everybody was they, you if you had been around, you actually think that I lost a child. Everybody around had to call, are you okay? Hope all is well. Hope everything is okay. Because I've had this dog for almost 5 years. There was I had that dog when I was in school, when I was rounding up university, and she has been with me all through. When I was coming to Ibadan for youth service, I came with my dog. I kept her in my sister's house when I was going for camp. Immediately I came out of camp, I took my dog back. So some people are just some human beings do not just have some kind of emotional attachment, even to other human beings, talk more of to animals. And understandably, Nigeria is a stressful place. So some people will tell you that, oh, I've not even finished thinking about food. I've not thinking about my children. There is dog that will not be giving me a headache. So for some who actually get these dogs because they just want something for security in the house, or they just want something to make money out of, they don't really care about the dog, whether the eyes have even closed. I had a client who brought a dog to me. The eyes were closed, completely closed. Like there was discharge coming out of the eyes, and the eyes were already shut. And I'm wondering, what were you doing until this thing shut completely? And he's not always in the house, and people in the house did not notice. So you can imagine if that kind of dog dies, would that person care? They will just look for one place and fling it into the bush. So sometimes it's not even about the money or whether the dog was given to them as a gift or not. They just do not have emotional attachments to these dogs in question. The dog is probably just there as a monument. Or some people even just buy dogs because they want to show that they have money. I know people who buy dogs, who buy expensive dogs, expensive cats, because their brother or their friend bought a dog and they are in competition of who has more money. It's not because they actually care that they want to take care of. Some people just buy it to show class, to show status and all of that. So for them, it's about them. It's not about the dog.
So you can start typing your questions if you have any for our hub experts, but that brings me quickly to the next question. And I'm going to ask Dr. Ayeni, I'm also going to be expecting us to answer the question, is either a yes or no. Should everyone own a pet, right? Should we have a special license that gives people, like we have to test whether you can even cater for, because in a developed system, that's what people really do. Should everyone own a pet? Dr. Ayeni, what's your take on this? Should everyone own a pet?
Pet is not for everyone. That's the basic truth, because having a pet comes with so much responsibility, and obviously some people don't have the time for pets. People who don't have time for pets don't deserve a pet, because you must have time for a pet for you to own one. It comes with so much responsibility. It's like nurturing a child. It's like nurturing a child. So it comes with so much responsibility, and not everyone deserves to have a pet. And some pets don't deserve some people as well. Because most people, from my own understanding, most people that I know keep pets because of their own benefit, not for the benefit of the pet itself. Because only when you start thinking about how you having the pet with you will benefit the pet, that's when people's attitude towards pet handling will change. People always look at what they will benefit from the dog. For example, people buy dog for security purpose. Okay, your responsibility is to guard the house while I'm away. They don't care about the physical well-being, mental well-being of the dog. They just expect the dog to be barking at night. Make sure you bark at night. Secure the house. While some people just have a dog just for show, just for showbiz. Like I have a fluffy, airy dog. I can show it around to my friends. My friends will be screaming, "Oh, nice dog." They don't even spend money to vaccinate those dogs. They don't feed the dog quality food. So pet is not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And some people keep pets so as to generate income, like for example, like breeding purpose. And when you look deep into the way some of the people who have pure intention of using dog for breeding purpose handle dog, we notice that it's not the best way of raising dogs, because their sole aim is to make sure that the dog is being productive. Any other thing, they don't care about it. They don't care about the health of the dog, the mental health, the physical health. They just want the dog to reproduce so they can sell puppies. And some of them end up crossing this dog 2 to 3 times in a year. Even as humans, it's stressful to give birth twice within 2 years. Talk more of animals, 3 times in a year or 2 times in a year sometimes. So it's kind of like difficult for these animals as well. So until we look deep into what we can actually offer to this pet, that's when our mindset about pet handling we change. Because for example, if I'm giving you a pet that is paid, right? Your mindset about using it for breeding purpose will change. That in such case, we love the pet for what the pet is. If it's a cat, you like the cat, you know that, oh, this cat is like my child, this cat is like my friend. I communicate with this cat. This is what I stand to benefit from this cat. If it's companionship, then you are more devoted to making sure that health-wise, physical, and the mental health, everything about such pet is perfect. Yeah.
All right.
It's a broad topic. We can keep talking on and on and on. And
I understand that. Thank you, Dr. Ayeni. So from your own view, not everybody deserves to own a pet. I wish we would set up a ministry that sees pets. If you if you mishandle your pet, we just keep seizing. I'm just wondering where we will keep all the pets, because we will seize, because people are saying 50%, that means we will seize 50% of the dog population in Nigeria. We'll come and keep it in Dr. Ogenekaro's facility, if she's that passionate. So you know, it's a tripod. We have the veterinarians, let's call them the animal health professionals. You have the pet owners, and then of course you now have the pet themselves, right? So at every point in time, there could be a shift. So maybe I should ask you, Dr. Ogenekaro, I'm going to open up, because I see a few of our senior colleagues here very shortly after this question. Do we have irresponsible vets caring for responsible pet owners with responsible pets?
Yes, we do. Apologies to a lot of our colleagues, but sometimes we, in the bid to make money, we make a lot of mistakes. For example, a vet who does not have the necessary facilities to handle a particular type of case will take on that case because money. Personally, I do not even handle a lot of cases these days because I don't have the time and even the space. So for me, I don't handle Pavo cases on a general note. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't handle Pavo cases because I do not have the facility to board a dog. And I cannot tell you, be coming every day, you bring a Pavo case every day, bring. I'll tell you, oh, this, I know so-and-so colleague that can handle this case and they'll do it perfectly. So if a client comes and says, my dog is doing this or my dog is doing that, if I know I don't have the quality time to assign to you, I will tell you I cannot handle that case and I'll give it to somebody else that I know is responsible. But some of us, because money has to be made, you just take on everything. You take on every job. Somebody comes, my dog's teeth is pulling out too. You don't know how to extract that tooth. But you will tell the person to come. Somebody says, my dog is stooling this so and so and so and so. Because they mention it is stooling and the poo is smelling, oh yeah, Pavo, start jabbing. So sometimes, even when you now see these clients who come to me and say, this all these vets, and that's what even sometimes pushes them to the quacks, because some of them cannot differentiate who is who. And for us, also even for the pet owners, I will tell you, you know where quality is, but you don't want to pay. You want to look for the person that will give you the cheapest. That's why you actually sometimes even fall into the hands of quacks. But somebody will tell you, they'll be answering doctor. They will hang one rope on their neck and they're answering doctor, but they didn't go to any school. They are not doctors in any way. But even though some of us have our faults, some of us have the roles that we play either unconsciously or because, we are trying to make ends meet, it's also important that you look for where you can get the best kind of attention for your pets. If somebody tells you, I cannot do this, let me refer you, it's not because they are not qualified to do it. It's because they want you to get the best for your money. If I tell you I cannot attend to this kind of case, it's because I know I don't have time. I barely manage my 8 to 6 in a day. Talk more of not taking on multiple cases. So if I tell you I would assign you to these vets, it's not because I feel that I want to give it to somebody who will do it cheaper, or because sometimes they'll tell you, maybe this person you're sending me to knows the job. If the person doesn't know the job, I will not send you there in the first place. So we also have to, everybody has to work hand in hand. The vets, the vet techs, vet assistants, but there are a lot of titles these days, and one doesn't even know where to begin. But if us as vets are doing our jobs properly, a lot of these things will be curbed. Don't try to cut corners. Don't tell your client to go and buy so and so injection because you don't have time to go to their house. If you don't have time, don't take the case. Somebody will come and say, my doctor told me to go and buy amoxicillin, and I'll be wondering for what. So people will just come out. I just bought a dog. The vet said I should buy amoxicillin, so I should buy vitamin C, I should buy this, and they will list all manner of things, and you'll be wondering, is it actually a vet that told you this? So it's a vet. I've been my vet for the past 8 years. And he told you to go and buy amoxicillin for a puppy that you just bought. And to boost the immune system now, there are a lot of weird practices that we hear these days, and they will tell you it is a vet that told them. So I don't really know whether it is true, because most times I don't want to start going into the details of trying to figure out and now stepping on toes. So if you say it's a vet, okay, no problem. If you don't listen to me, no problem. You can do as you wish. I'll come back. Then I will now charge you double and you pay.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to open up the room now, but let me read a quote. Thank you, Dr. Ogedekaru. There's one question that is burning in my heart to ask you, but I will reserve that after the people we have in the room have a conversation around this topic. But here's it. One of the messages we send, greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. That was written by Mahatma Gandhi. It means that if you want to know, I don't know how true that is, but it makes a lot of sense, because if you could passionately care for animals, you might not kill humans. So that directly correlates to each other. I want to open up the room. I'm going to be asking randomly. I'm going to give Dr. Omotayo pause and plus a few moments. And the questions are going to be the same across board, right? You're going to, because I don't want us to just be problem focused. We have to also be solution oriented. And the key question is, now I saw that it was you that said responsible pet owners have 2 all over 10. So that's not so good a score, but I want you to shed light on your score briefly, and then also answer if it's possible to convert irresponsibility to responsibility by some happenstance. Can it happen? Can an irresponsible dog owner be a responsible dog owner, or should we just give up on it? I'm going to ask you the question, and then I'll ask other people too in the room. Please, you have around 2 minutes to get up.
Thank you for that question. Yes, I'm the one that wrote that 2 over 10 for owners. But if you look further, you see me also say for vets and professionals, 5/5, because it cuts across. It's not just the pet owners. We as vets, just like Dr. Ogenekaru said, the vets have their roles to play too. I was telling you in my email to you that it also falls on us vets, because you notice that some vets have never owned a dog in their lives. So when they come on board as practitioners, there's something missing. When you've not owned a pet ever before, and you are now entrusted with the care of other people's pets, it will show. That thing will show there. I call it TLC. There's a special touch, tender loving care that you attach to what you do professionally. A dog comes in and you're all over the dog. You're like, oh, hello, how are you? Oh, oh, I love you, I miss you. Yeah. And the dog is so relaxed. Your client is also, happy with what you're doing to his pet. I had this experience abroad in London when I was seeing service. I wanted to practice in London, and I attached myself to a clinic there. I wasn't supposed to treat. I was just supposed to be looking and seeing practice, like they call it. And the professionals that were there from Australia and other places that were licensed to practice, it got to a point. The clients that come in will say, no, it's Tayo, we want Tayo to handle our dog, because anytime they come in, I'm like all over the dogs, all over them. And this was a charity place where they don't pay, you just come in and treat, and you're entitled to, we must insist that you neuter your dog. That was the rule there. If you want us to treat your dog, we also have to neuter. So we had a lot of neutering cases coming in, 10 to 15 a day. And then the vaccinations. Do you know that I was vaccinating dogs? Because anytime the other ones touch the dogs are screaming and all that, they are scared. But because I was like, oh, hello, love, oh, honey, honey, darling, darling, I started treating there. So there's this special touch that you, a vet, have, because you've already been exposed to animals right from time. At home. You can practice these things with your dog. A dog is thirsty. You will know, because you've been with a dog almost all your life. You know when it's thirsty. You know that you need to change the water, freshen the water. A dog is put in your care at the clinic as a professional. You need to know what to do at the right time. I tell the doctors that work with me, that dog is thirsty. Now, can't you see him? He's coming in. They walked him to the clinic and he's panting. And you're already going for a jab already. You should relax the dog, give him water to drink, let his temperature come down before you start doing anything. So we have that responsibility as professionals to also have a feeling towards our dog. You were saying something about somebody crying. I've had that experience too. A justice, an honorable justice, I had a dog. When the dog died, she fell on the floor. Her husband and her were going for a dinner that night. She was in a dinner gown. And she just came to pop in to see her dog, who had Pavu, that we were handling. Unfortunately, we lost the dog, Orobo. And she was all over the floor, oh, Orobo, oh, Orobo. I had to go to her house the next day to also, commiserate with her. So this is how people love dog. And when they see that you yourself treating the dog, we too, we were crying there. Myself and my other junior colleague, we were also in tears because we were touched by what she was. The husband was saying, come on, love, sorry, darling, it's okay. They were supposed to go for a dinner. I'm sure they must have canceled their evening event. So we see that we need to also show that special, tender, loving care to our pets. Then when it comes to the part of, is it possible to revert this trend? Yes, it is. I said there in my comments that if we start early, when we were saying something about should everybody own a pet, I would say yes. Start from your children. Buy them a lizard. Buy them a fish in a fish bowl. Let them have responsibility towards the pet. They know that they should feed this pet every morning. They know they should clean up after the pet and all that. In fact, to make the world a better place. A lot of times when we travel abroad and you show averseness to dogs, you both look at you with suspicion. Because if you don't like an animal, it means you wouldn't like a human being. That's just how they judge you. So people come in and they start carrying their legs. Oh, I hate dogs, I hate cats, I hate this, I hate that. people will start looking at you with a funny question mark that, are you sure you don't hate human beings? So if we start from children in school, I take some children trip, they come to my place and I expose them to things and I tell their parents, buy a small bowl, put a small golden fish there. Let your child be responsible. It doesn't necessarily really have to be a dog. There are so many pets all over that you can start with. Even a snail, get a snail, put in a bowl for them. Let them care for that snail. So if we do that and we grow the next generation to start being responsible pet owners, that is how I think we can change. For this, our oldies, somebody, I don't know whether they'll be able to change, but I'm saying for the next generation, we can start there and correct the trend so that everybody becomes a pet lover. The world will be a better place. There will be much more love in the world. Thank you.
Dr. Matayo, thank you so much. That's an amazing contribution. You know, somebody said it's difficult to bend an old fish. I agree completely. You know, in my own small practice too, I've seen that there's difference between vet doctors too. Some we genuinely care. Some, it's a job, maybe from the vet school. I know that Dr. Gani is on this call, continuing education. Let's start screening. Because some of us, unfortunately, some of us, the first time we heard the word veterinary medicine was in the admission letter. So it's tough to give what you don't have, but what an amazing comment, Dr. Motayo. And I think I like the fact that we should start getting our children pets. If we can't correct the adults, maybe we have a chance to ensure that the next generation pick up these very good ideas from us. So let me call Dr. Tunji Olatunji Nasser. So we're examining what you think about the topic, but more importantly, we're trying to figure out if an irresponsible dog owner, right, can become a responsible pet owner. So let me try and unmute you. I'm going to ask Dr. Tunji, and then I will go back to our hub experts. Then I will take another 2 thoughts. Then I will go back finally to our hub expert. Dr. Tunji Nasser. Dr. Tunji Nasser is the president of the Commonwealth Veterinary Association and also a pet lover, one of the finest veterinary hospitals in Lagos. I said everything is happening in Lagos.
Yeah, let me say good to everyone on this call for having time, you know, on a busy Saturday afternoon to be on this call. And let me sincerely say that I'm happy about what I heard from Dr. Ogene Karo. I think the future of veterinary medicine is still intact. You know, if we have young vets like this, and I think she knows her onions. But coming specifically to what we are discussing today, when the all experts were delivering their papers, so to say, I was listening very attentively, and at the same time, I was laughing. I was laughing seriously because the situation that our young veterinarians on ground was, it's so good compared to what people like Dr. Nauru, Dr. Abiade, even Tayo and myself, compared to what we met. it's like 500% better than what we met. Because at the time we started, there was nothing called pet food. There was no dry pet food. There was nothing. You know, pets then were eating rice, were eating eba, amala, and all those. We put rice and put palm oil, a bit of fetus and everything. You didn't meet all that, you know. So let me thank God for you that you met a very highly improved situation.
Ajebota vet.
God bless you. That's the word. You guys met Ajebota pets. You didn't see what we saw. You did not see what we saw. But coming to the question directly, I also want to pitch my tent with Tayo about people who we even admit to read the course of veterinary medicine itself. You know, a lot of our vets do not even have the interest to read that course. They just die. So how will it not show when they are practitioners and all that? But saying, can we convert an irresponsible pet owner to a responsible pet owner? Yes and no. If he was doing it on account of ignorance, that genuinely he did not know what he had to do, and he met someone who could tutor, tutor him, about what responsible pet ownership is, and the fact that, well, you get to a veterinary clinic and they're also able to show responsibility before, they start to treat your dogs and everything. Maybe you can imbibe it. Maybe it can be prodded. Maybe we should also, like veterinary surgeons, do not just do a straight jacket job when we are handling pets. Maybe we should always tell our owners, if they care to come, how to be responsible pet owners. We can chat them up. Our consultation should not just be, okay, what is wrong with the dog? Okay, let me examine. Okay, you pay this or whatever. No, we should always, as a veterinary surgeon, we should always find time to do serious consultation with our clients. And at the end of the day, they too will realize the fact that, oh, this is the way it has to be done. This is the way it has to be done. I've had to encounter a lot of pet owners that I have turned from irresponsibility to responsibility. I'm telling you. So for me, that wise, I can tell you that it is possible if the guy was doing it out of ignorance. But for the dry fish, who does not love pets, who just sees pet as just like as a status symbol, who wants to have this because his friends also have that kind of pet and everything. Those ones might be difficult to. This was about, I think Dr. Abede will remember this case. It was a case when I was still in pet care. The owner gunned down his own dog. He killed his own dog with a gun. It was a Doberman. Because the dog never knew him. Yes, he bought the dog, he's feeding the dog, but he came in from the club one late night. The dog went for him. And he had to kill that dog. I was very, very sad. I am sure Dr. Abeli should remember this. I was very, very sad. So they are like, they just provide for the dog, but it's like they employ,
you don't have an attachment.
The dog. No emotional attachment, no nothing. And then he was proud to say, yeah, I had to kill the idiot. I said, you killed the dog? He said, yes, I killed the dog. But it's your dog. He said, hey, well, I don't know. The dog wanted to attack me. It was a very sad commentary for him. So for those of them that have dry bones, dry fish, that one you may not be able to convert. We just have to dissuade them from having pets. And when punitive actions are meted on people who treat their dogs or their pets badly, I think people will start to learn and they will think twice before even acquiring that pet. But we don't, there's not been any punitive action the other day. Look at that footballer that was messing up a cat. I mean, it led to him being relieved of his duties at his club. I don't know whether you still remember, about 3 months ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what happens in sane societies, not in our kind of society that everybody is like hustling to survive, and so the love is not there. So my answer would be yes and no, depending on the situation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tunji Nasser. Dr. Ogenekara, I'm coming to you now, but I just wanted to paint this scenario. You can imagine somebody pick up a gun, right, and shoot a fellow human being. That person will not go scot-free, right? So it brings us back to the same quote that the level of civility or the level of maturity of a society can be just in direct proportion to how well it treats the people or the patient we think aren't that significant. But Dr. Ogenekaro, somebody mentioned something, and I think you should answer that question before I go back to our listeners. He said, sadly, some responsible pet owners were forced to become irresponsible. So I know if easy for good to turn to bad. Maybe a lot more difficult for bad to turn to good, right? But this person is saying responsible pet owners became irresponsible, taking laws into their hands because of poor handling by some so-called professional vets. I know there's an issue between differentiating who is a vet and who is not a vet, because everybody now is a vet, right? So maybe probably from, I guess this is a pet owner. He's not talking like a vet. He said so-called vet doctors who let them down. What can be done to this? Do you understand the question? Maybe a pet owner took his or her own pet, and I've seen that kind of situation where because of negligence from the hands of the professional, the pet died. And the pet owner feels that I can even care more for my pet than this pet is doing. Do you think that can be redeemed? What do you have to say about that?
Okay, I am, as much as I understand the situation and sympathize with people like that, it is still not an excuse. I'll give you a scenario. If, for example, your child falls sick, right? Your child has malaria or the Nigerian sickness, malaria and typhoid. Everybody, once you fall sick in Nigeria, it's malaria and typhoid. So let's assume a child has malaria and typhoid, right? And then you take this child to a nearby pharmacy. Maybe because it's an emergency, you cannot find the hospital in the night. You take the child to a chemist store, wherever you take the child to, and then in the course of handling the illness, it's not properly handled. Maybe they injected and then the place starts to swell up, or they didn't give the injection well, or the drugs they gave the child did not even work, and the fever was still there by the next morning, or it was just generally not handled properly. Will you, because of that one person, now treat your child shabbily and say that, oh, because this nurse or this chemist person or this doctor in quotes, because we still have quack human medics, or this doctor in quotes treated my child like this, that means I will never go to a hospital again. If my child falls sick, I will mix native chalk and Panadol and give her to drink. No, you will not. So I don't think it is a valid excuse to say that because a vet handled your dog, shabbily in the past, you have now ruled out every vet on the surface of the earth. I think it's just an excuse that people give themselves.
Yeah.
It is not a valid excuse at all. You can say that to help you sleep better at night. And this is the reason why I'm now jabbing my dog by myself, because I want to reduce cost. And because I feel that taking the dog to a vet is a waste of my money. But it is something that you are doing for you. It is not in the interest of that dog. And a lot of times people actually think that they are doing the vet a favor by taking the dog to a vet. You see somebody who tells you, your dog needs vaccine. You say, I beg, I don't get money now. Doctor, don't worry. When I have money, don't worry, you will know. It's not me you are doing it for. You are not helping me. The vaccine you are giving to this dog is not my immune system that is being built up. So you saying that when you have money, I will know. I don't know how. So there's this mentality that you are trying to help vets. And as much as possible, I try to ensure that any client of mine knows that I am a vet is not because I am hungry. If I was hungry at some point, we are past that stage. So it is not because you are trying to help me. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. You're paying me money and I'm rendering you a service. So don't make it look as if it is a one-way thing that, oh, I'm taking this dog to the vet, or going to go and give them money. Or you are not dashing them money. They are doing something for your dog. Don't say that because one vet 10 years ago injected your dog and the place was swelling up, it means that you will not go to a vet again if your dog falls sick. So just think back. I want a lot of us to have that picture at the back of our minds, that if somebody does not treat your child well at a particular hospital, because people among human beings, people go for surgery and they don't come back. Will you not say that if any of your family members fall sick next time, you will treat them at home because somebody went for an operation and it wasn't successful? No, you will still do the right thing. So let's apply the same thing to animals too. Treat them the way they deserve to be treated. It's a life, whether it's an animal life or it's life. Treat it properly. That's what I think about that.
So I think that was very strong, and I think I like the answer. That something went wrong at first does not, there was this very funny story I heard of a man who made a little mistake in his matrimonial home. And then because of that, said that since I've tried, and I can't help it. I will just give up and do it on my own. And then of course, you see that you've done something once and it hasn't worked. Does not mean when you try another person or try a different approach, because I think, and I want Dr. Ayeni to really talk on this, the part of education, because one of the things that fuel irresponsibility is also ignorance, right? And that's why meetings like these are very important, where we open up the discussion and we hear everybody out and see how we can talk together to ensure that we keep the animal health system really very sane. Because a lot of malpractice, you just said that somebody saying that a vet told him to go and buy amoxicillin. The issue of drug resistance, the issue of people not really even getting what they want because almost all the drugs or the antibiotics that we can use have been abused. And I think the key is education. Dr. Ayeni, I'm going to be coming back to you, but let me take two. I see like 4 hands raised. Let me first of all take, I see Dr. Monday's hands raised. I see Dr. Charles' hands raised. I'm also going to call Dr. Ghani Nahoro. So, but quickly, right? Let's call Dr. Charles. And the question I want Dr. Charles to answer is, can an irresponsible dog owner become responsible? If yes, and it has to be brief, how?
Yeah, I want to deal with irresponsible vet, not even irresponsible dog owners. Yeah, because as you are tackling the dog owners, tackle your colleagues. Because I have seen a lot, as a marketer in some clinics. And I don't know whether Novat's clinic is still available.
But maybe we should not call names. This is
no, I'm not calling names. I'm not calling names. I went to Novat, the vet doctor he employed, an elder vet, just to muzzle the dog, just to restrain the dog. The dog was difficult to be restrained. It was hitting the dog, and the dog died in front of me.
Whoa.
Right in front of me. I told him, in fact, it was when he didn't even know when the dog was passing away. I was the one who recognized it. I said, stop. And the dog was going. I tried CPR and it didn't work. I was even jumping and landing on the thoracic area. It didn't work. Wow. With all my body. And then he ended up telling me that throughout his practice, 10 or 15 years as at that time, he has not seen this kind of stuff. And I said, you caused it. Then Micah sub-hired a dog when I was MVMA president. Sub-hired a dog to one vet living in Kubwa. The thing came into my table. And when the for boarding, actually, and the owner was traveling, which is part of our routine. And the dog died in the hands of the person the dog was sub-hired to sub-board the dog. And then a lot of questions the woman was throwing. But the woman was telling us that this guy has sold his dogs. That's what the woman was saying. So please, let us organize ourselves to be ourselves, to be able to do things neatly and honorably. These are animals. So we should look beyond the animal we treat to the human beings we are before we can handle these animals we treat. Let us not look at the animal's behavior to be able to perfect our own, just like some psychiatric doctors are. Most of them are psychiatric because of the behavior of their patients. So let us land at this position. And then there's one issue you said. You are dealing with dog owner. Most dog owners are not dog handlers. They're not dog handlers. If I own a dog in the morning I leave for work, the dog handlers will handle the dog. So the emphasis will be interfacing the dog handler with the dog owner. There are some issues that if one of the dog handlers, why they slapped the dog handler to a vet world clinic when I was there. As a marketer, I move around. What happened? He went and used diclover, meant for inanimate environment, to spray on dogs as pesticide. And the dog entered into fit immediately. By the time I left, the dog came up. We all rallied around to put infusion on the dog. So you see, when a dog handler came up to that level, that means there's a lacuna somewhere. There should be a lot of interactive, and being a veterinary doctor, like I handled pets because they were within my reach, and then mini poultry when I started my practice. So I've been able to come into terms with some realities. And part of the realities is that information flow, information gap. We're not trained to meet this animal when they are sick. Prevention is better than cure. How many of you have a very good system like what we have here in UK, whereby you have a dog, you are the one to inform the dog, the owner, this is the time when it is due for deworming, this is where to have vaccination, because you have it in your folder, you have it in your database. These people might forget, they might not be able to know, but you can remind them. And then during that interface period, you'll be able to educate and then advise. If not, they do it their own way, then by the time they are returning to you, it's late. And then, thank God, like what Nasir said, now we have dog food. I know that when I was practicing, dog handlers were eating dog food. They give them rice to give the dog. You go to work, they eat up the rice. They eat up the beans. And then those will become cachexic. They'll say, but doctor, I told the owner would meet me. I said, but we are giving food, we are budgeting. And then a good example of this is the owners or the handlers should know what to give dogs. The local dog we have, I guess their pH, the acidity of their gastric is so high to dissolve and digest bone. On no account will they advise these dogs to give bone advise the owners to give bone to their dogs. We've seen a lot in necropsy. We've seen a lot in surgery. So what is good for the goose might not be good for the gander, because we have various species with various responsive attitude to a lot of things. So let me stop.
Thank you so much. You really hit on some very important chord. Somebody, Samuel, still saying that you have nailed it. But I think education is key, because one of the key things I see some of these very civil society do is that they ask questions. If your vet is doing something that you don't like, you're allowed into the clinic except on some very rare occasions. You can see what the vet is doing. If you see the vet, and maybe we should start suing vets and then suing dog owners too for malhandling animals. We should have a tribunal. I think that's going to be something.
Okay.
But
just a minute.
I need to quickly. Okay, go ahead quickly.
Yeah, where I initially served for, I think that was where I met Alasa.
It's going to be a story we might not have it.
Yeah, where I met Alasa, as an IT student.
Yeah.
I was there for 6 weeks before issues came up. I had to leave. I was a copper. This man had not supervised me. A vet doctor had a clinic. He had not supervised me for 1 minute. Throughout that 6 weeks, I was in the routine. Everything was on my head, fresh from school. I need to be guided. I need to be guarded. So it made me, what happened is that it left between me and Alasa, who was an IT student, to be doing, myself as a chief. Imagine me as a copper, being a chief veterinary consultant in a clinic. So what I'm saying is that if you employ young vets, and that's you need to guide them, appropriate, supervise them, supervise their work.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles.
Based on your experience.
It's mentoring, and I think we'll deal with that extensively in the vet circle. I'm going to go to Dr. Ayeni. Dr. Ogenekaro, I'm coming to you shortly. But Dr. Ayeni, what do you think about the role of education? I see a question, but I'm going to throw that question to Dr. Gani, and then I'll get to Dr. Ogenekaro, then we'll round up this. We're almost out of time. But Dr. Ayeni, what do you think is the role of education, right? The more we know, somebody said the less mistakes we make. What do you think is the role of education in enhancing our outlook as being responsible pet owners?
Yeah, it's important veterinarians are educated in the sense that they know
both
the
veterinarians
basic
and pet
thing
owners,
about
right? Or just veterinarians?
veterinarians for now, because let me
But
focus
they've
on
gone through
veterinarians.
school.
Because
Like if you're a vet, pardon me that I'm quickly cutting in. If you're a vet, you've gone through minimum 6 years. So why do you think the education is very important for vets and not pet owners?
Yes, you've gone through the theories and few practicals. That is what I would say. Because sometimes the attitude of a veterinarian towards these animals is what the client equally pick up. Right? Yeah. If you show so much care towards these animals that are being presented to the clinic, right? You don't expect the client to start dodging his own dog or cat. That, oh, I can't stay close to, I can't hug my dog, I can't hug my cat, I can't. But the attitude of vet towards the animal is important, is what the client equally pick up. So most vets, they need to kind of like learn more about animal behavior, approach, psychology, different aspects in order to enhance their practice as the veterinarians. Because these are the little things that clients equally look at.
All right.
And dog owner.
All right. I'm going to ask Dr. Genekaro, Dr. Omotayo mentioned TLC, tender loving care, right? Can it be learned? There are some things, we all understand you fall in love, you don't learn love. He said that you are in love or you are not. Because some of this, I see some comments, somebody, Solomon, he said, imagine a situation where the pet owner observes that the pet needs the attention of the vet needs or something. Observe that the pet needs the attention of the pet, but the vet rest assured the pet owner that there's no problem. Only a few days later, the pet's situation gets worse, and some emotional things. Because sometimes I know there's a detachment between vets and then the pets. Can this TLC thing be taught? After your comment, I'll pick Dr. Gani and then I'll pick.
There is yes and there is no. Because there are some things that if you don't have it, you don't have it. You cannot force. Yeah. You cannot force somebody to have sympathy. You cannot force somebody to have human emotions. Even though those human emotions are targeted towards an animal. Now there are people that they just want to do their job. Somebody comes into your clinic and you just keep a straight face as if you are angry with the world, you are angry with the clients, you are angry with the dog. Your own is just jab and let the person get out. That is the approach that some people give. Then there are those who, even from the moment you walk in, the warmth and ambience and all that you get, they actually make you to come back and even tell, there is this vet in so and so and so place. Yeah. And then there's also the problem of people wanting to do everything, every kind of practice. So you see somebody who is supposed to be a poultry specialist, who's supposed to be somebody in large animal practice, now moving from where he or she's actually specialized to handling pets because money must be made, like I said. So if you know that you actually don't have the capacity to show these human emotions, you should know you don't have any business handling pets. Because pets are animals that require that. You can go to a cattle farm, for example, and jab, and go. Even though in saner climes, you still need that human emotion. You still need that kind of attachment. But for pets are emotional beings. A dog, sometimes you even hear dogs crying when they are ill. So when a client is calling you and say, doctor, so and so is happening to my dog, oh, please help. And you are saying, please, I'm busy. Don't worry, it will take care of itself. You don't bother to even call back the next day, the next 2 days to find out whether this dog that you jabbed 2 days ago, if it's still alive. Some people will treat a dog, they will not even bother to do follow-up. Yeah. They will not care whether the dog has died or whether the dog woke up the next morning or whether the dog has started eating. No, they just don't care. Because as far as they are concerned, they have done the one that they call them to come and do, and that's it. So even if it's not even if though you are not the primary care giver of the you are not the main vet of that dog, there's also that problem too. Somebody says, oh, I'm not your vet. So, but even though you are not the person's vet, you have a primary assignment. You have an oath that you swore to actually provide. So just take it as one of those things that you should do. Be able to show sympathy to both the client and the pet in question. So I think that is something some people can learn it, but generally it's something that you have to have it, like follow come.
Yeah, which is better. And so to Dr. Gani, I want you to quickly unmute yourself. Somebody asked a question, right? On the part of the irresponsible turning irresponsible. He now said the probably caused by the specialists, dog handlers, veterinarians. How do the new irresponsible get justice for how does the new irresponsible get justice, or how can this be coped? So maybe what I think the person means is that how can you get justice? Somebody asked a question, what do you prefer, to be loved or to be feared? And of course, we know in Nigeria is to be feared, right? If you know that you will be punished, right? You can fall in love. Somebody said shit money doesn't smell. It's because there's a reward. So I think if there's punishment for mishandling of pets, maybe it's possible that the hand of the professional that doesn't naturally care will start caring. What do you think? And how can we punish people who err, Dr. Gani? Is there a possibility that the veterinary council can do something about this?
Well, let me thank you for this opportunity, and also thank the hub experts and all the commentaries made so far today. Everybody have spoken very well. But this perspective you have just brought is good. My direct answer is we need to know that there is a dog law in this country and in most other countries as well. But perhaps because I don't know whether in a public health teaching it was glossed over, there are dog laws for which people under animal welfare can be held accountable and responsible. People don't know that. It's because people don't like testing structures. We have these laws and they can be used either way, to the dog owner who has behaved irresponsibly, and also to the professional who has been careless. Of course, the vet council is there. The dog owners can report practitioners, and those cases will be investigated, and where necessary, tribunal will be set up to look at it. But let me clearly state here that the motive, you see, of ownership many times will determine how responsible we are to them. I don't know how many dog breeders are on this call, but if people who are breeders decide to use animals only for commercial purposes, of course, because of monetary values they place on them, they will treat them like livestock farms and try to be responsible. Then we have some people who only use their dogs for security purposes at homes, and they may not necessarily show that kind of concern that we expect. All they want is security. And oftentimes that irresponsibility go along with that, even if they pay the bills at the hospitals. I think what we need to be doing as professionals is to constantly educate our clients. Let us not assume that they should know what to do. Let us not assume that they have been old keepers and users of dogs, therefore they are experienced and they know what to do. They may not know, genuinely not know. Somebody can genuinely be ignorant. So we should have a moment, yesterday I was discussing at the Veterinary Council how when we take in new members, there should be a welcome book that should give them the roles, they should understand the roles they're supposed to play as members of the council. The same thing, when clients come to us, we must be able to have something that they will take away. Maybe on in the appointment booklet that we give, we have that in Garovet. The appointment booklet has to be bulky enough to contain a lot of things that should educate clients on what they should do to be responsible. Otherwise, they will go on the internet and they will read situations that are peculiar to Australia, the very cold regions, and want to come and apply it in the tropics, and it will not work. So education, education, education. Otherwise, we'll just begin to accuse people ignorantly on our own part as well. I don't know whether that has answered the question. Laws exist, and those laws can be used to deal with itinerant or irresponsible behaviors to animals. Those laws are existing in this country. Thank you, Femi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gani. You know, when you just mentioned the dog law, I quickly went on my internet and then I just typed the dog law in Nigeria. And then I saw something that requires that all dogs must be licensed within 6 months of taking ownership. You know, just as you have said, we need to start testing structures. Maybe when we start having court cases and making them public, that would be a very good awareness creation. And if somebody who mishandled his dog or a vet who mishandled a pet owner's dog is reported to the council and we seize his license, maybe, just maybe, we could be having a good way forward. It's been a very interesting conversation. I've learned a few things. I know you can report to the veterinary council if you have a vet, not a quack, mishandle your pet. Dr. Gani here is a member of the veterinary council board. We have actually 2 or 3 members of the veterinary council board in this meeting. So you can just chat him up and then get his number. Or if it is me, you chat me up so that we'll resolve it before you report me to the council. Then Dr. Motayoto also brought up an issue of us having to ensure that our children, right, start having pets, because if they grow up with this attitude, I think that attitude could be brilliant. I want to first of all ask Dr. Ayeni. I still see 2 hands up, but my time is up. My apology for that. Dr. Ayeni, what would be your final word? I see that you shared the quote that we used as an advert. You want to say that quote again? What would be your final word to just encourage responsibility in terms of ownership? Then I'll ask Dr. Ogenekaro. Then I will hand over to Dr. Nancy to round up the meeting. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. What I have to say is that being here today as a veterinarian and other people that are here that join us, veterinarians and pet lovers, we must have been able to gain 1 or 2 things. And I will advise each and every one of us to try our possible best to educate people about being a responsible pet owner, because it goes a long way for us to share ideas and educate people about being a responsible pet owner. We can go on here and talk for several days, months, and years without making no impact. But by the time we take serious action about this, by educating people around us, the clients, other vets as well, then we achieve a lot that way.
I agree 100%. I think the animal health professionals need to be at the forefront of education. And of course, Farmalert, we're proud doing this, bringing it to the consciousness of people that you could be a responsible pet owner. Dr. Ogenekaro, if you have a final word, you have 1 minute to say that this, and to say, move the mark from 5 all over 10 to, let's say, 7 all over 10 or 8 all over 10. What would that be?
Okay, so I would say in conclusion that not everybody deserves to have a pet. Not everybody should keep pets. I'm not of the school of thought that says, oh, people should use pets to learn how to be emotional, should learn how to be kind. Do not keep pets if you don't have the means to take care of them. Don't keep pets if you don't have the enabling environment for them. If you don't have keeping pets is not a fun enterprise. It's not even cheap, first of all. So if you don't have money, don't buy a pet. Don't go and meet somebody to dash you a pet that you manage to take care of it. If you don't have the means, please do not get a pet. Keep only the pets that you have the funds and the time to cater for. That would be it.
So I think what she's just saying is that, you know, the way if you don't have money, you don't go and get married, right? Because there's responsibility. Love alone will not take care of your pet, right? Despite
I am also of that school of thought, actually. So
so that makes both of us, right? So ensure that you love and you have the funds, right? And it's a very nice, you see the way I'm even calling it, very nice romance, love and fun. So once you have that too, then of course you can be responsible. And that is it. So I want to thank every one of us. First of all, to Dr. Ayeni for the time you spent, and then of course to the brilliance you have exhibited, Dr. Ogenekaro, in ensuring that we educate our community on how to be a responsible pet owner. And then to all our senior colleagues who have also shed their light in ensuring that they add to this conversation, I'm in love. Don't forget, there's a dog law. You can report a vet, but more importantly, as Dr. Ogenekaro said, don't have what you can't fund, right? That's going to be a good way to end. So Dr. Nancy, thank you. I know I spent 10 more minutes, but you can take over and then please help us to conclude the meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Karen Femi, for that wonderful interactive session. And a very big thank you to our hub experts, Dr. Ayeni Joseph, for that insightful comments. And then to the very beautiful Dr. Genekaro. I mean, you are intelligent and I love the way you speak. Thank you for participating. And to our very big senior colleagues, Dr. Ganier Nahoro, Dr. Tunji Nasil, Dr. Charles Ibe, and Dr. Omotayo. I mean, I had to take note of all you said, Dr. Motayo. And thank you all for participating. So we'll be going in for the post quiz. Please do ensure to participate so that we would have a record of what our interactions yielded. Thank you. So it's up now. Please do ensure to join in so that we would have this. And also note that this is just one of those questions to just answer. It's not an examination. So just answer and let's have a good session and a good one indeed. Please. Thank you.
Dr. Nancy, the poll is not yet up. So who is launching the poll? Can Jerry launch the poll so that we can see all? Am I the only one that's not seeing the poll?
The poll should be up and people have started answering.
Okay, all right, good.
So please keep answering. We are taking record of that. We have about 3% of the attendance, 10% now. That's good. Please keep answering. Thank you. About 21%. Thank you. Keep answering, 28%. We have up to 2 minutes to round up this session. We have up to 39%. Up to 42 now. Thank you. Keep answering, keep the answers coming. We have more than 50% now. Everybody. Thank you. Keep the answers coming. 58%, 65%. 65%. We have 72% of the attendants answering. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll move to the next So we will also be picking up your comments from the comment section. Please do share with us the topics you would want us to discuss in our next sessions or in our upcoming sessions. We would really love to hear from you and have ideas of what we will be discussing in our upcoming sessions. Thank you. Okay, so with that, we've come to the end of today, but before we end the session completely, please don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or you can just simply search Farmalert and you would have us on social media and also follow up on our programs on social media. Thank you for joining in today and do have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.